about before. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to be talking about something that we've talked about before. We're about homographs and homophones. Now, a homograph is a word that has the same spelling but more than one meaning or pronunciation. We sometimes refer to them as a multiple meaning word. So the word part graph means the word right, has a meaning, it means right. This will help you remember that homographs are written the same way. Remember we talked about them last week, multiple meaning words. So a homograph is a word that has more than one meaning, but it's written the exact same way. For example, we had some examples last week. Can anybody think of some of those words that were written the same way but had more than one meaning? Juliana?
Fall.
Fall, that was a very good example. What are the meanings for fall?
Like you fall out of your chair.
You can fall out of your chair, but what's the other meaning for fall?
Like the season fall.
Like the season fall. That is a homograph. Now, sometimes the word can be pronounced a different way. And we're going to have an example here. Here's an example of that. We have the wind is blowing the leaves off the trees. We have the word wind. Here we have the path will wind around big boulders near the mountain peak. So wind and wind are both spelled the same way, but we pronounce them differently, okay? So it's a word, it's spelled the same way, it's pronounced differently, but they have different meanings. Now sometimes they can have the same pronunciation, they can have a different pronunciation, but they mean different things. So wind and wind are an example of that. Yes?
Like bow and bow.
Bow and bow, that's an excellent example of that. An excellent example, because there's, first off, bow, B-O-W, bow, B-O-W, and then there's multiple meanings for both those words. Here we have homophones. And homophones are words that are pronounced the same way, but have a different meaning or spelling. The word part phone means sound. That's how we get telephone. Phone has to do with sound. The word, this will help you remember that homophones sound alike. So homophones sound alike. And here's an example. We are going to the campsite before it gets dark. Mark is coming with us to, T-O-O. It took 2 attempts to light the campfire. So T-O, T-O-O, and T-W-O are homophones. They all sound exactly alike when you say them. Two, but number one, they're all spelled differently, and they all have different meanings. This is the number 2. This is the word to, that means also, and this is to like you're going someplace. Can anybody think of some homophones for me? What's a homo?
I have 2.
Yeah.
Sell and bear and bear.
Bear and bear. Tell me the bear ones.
A bear like an animal.
A bear like an animal.
And then bear like you don't have any skin.
Like you don't have any skin, or your feet are bare, like that one. Yes.
I have one. Night and night.
Night and night. What are your differences there?
Night like the nighttime, and night like the night that protects the castle.
Yes, and they're spelled differently. They're spelled differently.
Yep.
Now, here we have some examples. Now, if we go on, we don't all have our reading book out, so we'll have to come back to this. But here's some examples. Oh, here's the one that Olive mentioned to us. All the cast members bow at the end of the play. People once used a bow and arrow to hunt for food. So here they are. They're the same spelling, but they're pronounced differently, and they have different meanings. Boys and girls, here's one. We picked up refuse along the beach and put it in trash bags. That's another word for like garbage. Our parents refused to let us stay up late on weekends. So it's spelled the same, but it has different pronunciations. Yes.
Flower and flower, like the flour you bake with and the flour that you see pop out of the ground.
Yes, there's lots and lots of examples. So boys and girls, here's what we're going to do. We will be looking for the homographs in our book, not right this second, and I have got a page where we're going to be practicing. So a homograph is a word that has more than one meaning and or pronunciation, like wind and wine, bow and bow, refuse and refuse, refuse and refuse. And a homophone is a word that is pronounced the same, but has different spellings and meanings. So, how would we figure out the difference in those words? How would I know which word, which pronunciation? How would I know what word it's supposed to be? How would I figure that out? How would I figure that out? Yes. Yes, but if I'm reading, how am I going to know which meaning they mean?
Because you can look for the clues.
I look for the context clues, right? I'm looking at the sentence. I'm looking at the sentence, so I'm trying to figure it out. I look at the words around it. Yes.
Whale and whale, like whale is in the animal.
Yes.
And then whale is in like crying.
Yes, that's a good one too. Boys and girls, you can come up with lots and lots of them. The English language is full of these words. Yes.
Hail and hail.
Hail and hail, yes. Excellent. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I've got a very, very short paper for you to do, where you are going to have some I think there's homophones on it, or there's homographs anyhow. Oh, I have homographs. There's only 5 questions, or 5 sentences for you to do with some homographs on it. So we're going to do our homograph paper, and then it should be time for library.